All right, so here is a box in my hand, as you can see it. Imagine this box to be empty. The box being empty does not mean any absence of meaning. There could be plenty of space for imagination and creative within this empty box, which impacts others' lives. By also narrowing ourselves from getting into petty issues and making a difference in the lives of the ones who need it. Imagine a room full of these empty boxes. What would that mean? For me, it would mean oceans of emotions, actions, and reactions. For me, this box means and reflects our empty souls. Now, why do I say empty souls? Empty souls because many a times we want to be self-centered. We must instead move away from being self-centered and impact the lives of others by making a difference in their lives, by doing whatever best we can. Probably sharing our skills, sharing our love, and so on. For me, emptiness of this box is a beginning of new journey, a great adventure, full of potential for a better tomorrow. You'll understand what I mean by this as I move on by sharing an experience with you. Parenting for me is a very difficult task, and I know this now after becoming a parent myself. Being raised by a single parent is even more difficult because I was raised by one. Single parents are tough. They are the powerhouse of energy, and they are fierce. So needless to say, I am what I am today because of my mother. She taught me to be my own boss. There are many lessons that she's given me, and the one very important lesson that I even remember today is that I must always believe in myself, irrespective of what the world believes of me or expects out of me. Many a times we hear this, but take it for granted. She told me that you will be challenged, you will be questioned, you will be judged and proven wrong at many times, but you must not settle for anything lesser because of others' opinions about you. And that's how I use people's words as catalyzers to do better. She worked very hard day and night, put in extra efforts to make sure that I get the right education and values. So needless to say that I kept moving forward. So I went to a convent school. There was a time in my school life where we did not have enough money to pay for the school fees. So I remember somehow she managed to get me donations. I don't remember who that person was who gave me that donation, but that person sure saved my life, saved my education. All that my mom told me that day was never ever forget this great gesture and try to repay this by doing a good deed out there into somebody's life who needs it more than you. So life moved on at a very fast pace. I soon finished college, I soon finished graduation. During my engineering days, I remember to have paid for my own college fees by earning my own money. So there was a time when, as a child, I was always passionate about modeling. So I trained myself as a model. I worked intensely with national and international brands. I did a lot of photo shoots, print media shoots. So after 10 years of modeling field, I decided to move into the corporate field. Some more years down in the corporate field, I decided to move into the educational field in schools and colleges. I never liked to do the same mundane, boring job every day. So that's how I shifted to explore new avenues. Soon I was with schools in small towns. I started working with schools in small towns as language and life skills trainer. Very soon again, I landed in a bigger city, in a metro. And here I realized that I need to impact more lives than just myself. In a bigger city, I had better opportunities. I had oceans of schools here to choose from. I could do whatever I wanted to. So I started visiting various schools and colleges here. To my surprise, I realized that the very schools that looked very modern from the outside were not as modern as from the inside. I also started realizing that there were many people who wanted to study, who wanted to work, who wanted to earn, but did not have enough support to do that. Many times, we would like to associate ourselves with the cream of the society, neglecting the ones who are below our standard. And unfortunately, that's the way I have to put it. If we asked you today, what is that one thing that would determine a nation's true development? What is that thing that will determine a citizen's true development? There could be many factors ranging from a country's GDP, its growth rate, its military powers, its state establishments, and so on. But for me, it is that determines the behavior of the young mind. A true development lies in the hands of the youth. So the youth is the one who would make a difference in the right direction. So very soon I moved on. I joined a bigger school, the most progressive school of the city, as a project director, where my role was taking up social causes. I worked as a project director. I picked up a lot of social causes because I wanted to sensitize youth about the challenges that the country faces. So one important cause that I remember is acid attack survivors, for the welfare of acid attack survivors. And you might observe, we don't call them victims, we call them survivors. So as a part of this campaign, we don't just sensitize and raise voice against the harsh reality of acid attacks, but children as young as 6 years perform street plays in slums, in police stations, in public areas to raise voice against the illegal sale of acid. We've also done surveys and we have proof of videos where acid is still illegally available. And we are in the process of putting an end to this by reporting the matters to the concerned authorities. Our aim through these campaigns and causes is not just to raise donations and funds like normally they do, but we also want to generate employment by reaching out to organizations to make sure that these survivors are morally and financially independent. A true nation is the one which believes in right to equality in actions and not just in words, where each and every individual is given the right that they deserve irrespective of their caste, creed, appearance, sexual orientation, and gender orientation. So there's one more very important thing that I would like to focus here is on skin donation. We raise awareness on skin donation. Not many are aware of it. So skin donation is something that we reach out to hospitals, clinic, spread awareness. We tell people to pledge being a skin donor, the ones who are willing to do so. Another very important cause that I would like to focus on is for the LGBTQIA+ community. This is a human rights and initiative campaign, majorly aims at spreading awareness in schools and colleges, students of schools and colleges. Here, before reaching out to various schools, our students undergo intensive training on gender sensitization by various NGOs and foundations. We spread awareness in schools about the topic. And when we reach out to schools, we talk to them about the history of the community. We also talk about the legal aspects, their rights, and put an end to stop bullying and discrimination. You know, often bullying starts at school level, at early stages in life. And we need to educate them. We need to sensitize them by spreading awareness on these causes. And maybe ask them, raise them to be equally responsible in making the right difference in society, even if that means working as hard as in junior school. So it may sound easy, but it is not as easy as it may sound. Even before reaching out to schools and colleges, I have to make 2 to 3 weeks of intensive calls to a particular school to receive a date for the session. Even if I did receive a date for the session to be conducted, after 3 long weeks, people will ask me questions like, what exactly are you going to cover in the session? Are you going to use words like sex, gender? Because these are the words that we fear using. It's a taboo to be using these words in schools. There would also be people who would ask me, why don't you do something normal? Why don't you pick up a normal cause? Girls are not safe on streets. Instead of focusing on this, you're focusing on the community, LGBT community. What makes you do that? So I only tell them one thing. I tell them, if you feel you're normal, I would love to see what is not normal. For me, the community is as normal as you and me. They deserve equal respect as you and I do. They are born out of the same womb as you and I do. So you are nobody to distinguish between them. So we never lost hope, like they rightly say. A simple act of caring creates endless ripple. So I started meeting like-minded people, like-minded organizations. I reached out to NGOs, radios, because radio is a medium where you can impact to reach out to a larger audience. So that's what I started doing. We did a 10-day mini campaign with a radio station where we used to visit each college school every day. So by now we have sensitized about 3,000 students reaching more than 30 schools to NGOs. And I'm very proud of the fact that the youth today is impacting in a bigger, much bigger way. I started inviting queer activists. Now, queer is somebody who's an ally to the community. Now, I am a queer because I support this community. So I used to invite queer activists, trans queen women, models, people from the community, drag performers. Now, drag is somebody who's dressed resembling a girl. And having a drag performance in school is definitely a big deal. So that's how we sensitized our own school students. After the attention that we started receiving from various ends and media, you will be surprised to know that the very schools who did not give me an opportunity for conducting a session started calling me. Now they wanted to be a part of our campaign. And to add on to your surprise, there were convent schools who would call me for the session. So life moved on. All I'm trying to say is that you have to start making a difference. People will follow once you have achieved something. So just kickstart and keep going. So after this, we are also in the midst of starting to hold drag queen story hours in the junior school. Now this would be a huge change because then the drag performers would become queer models to impact about gender fluidity, gender neutrality. You know what we can do as parents and adults is that teaching our students, our children to be gender neutral in the true sense. You know, I haven't ever taught my daughter to be the concept of he or she, boy or girl. Instead, I focus on teaching her to use the word they as referring to a person as non-binary. I read out bedtime stories to her that involve boys wearing lipsticks, where boys can cry, boys are each other's best friends, where dinosaurs are a girl's best friend. Okay, as you can see, beasts like pretty things, all right? Dinosaurs are a girl's best friends. I sing her rhymes where a spoon runs away with another spoon instead of a dish, where a princess kisses a frog to wish for another princess rather than a prince. You know, children are the most innocent. I love how they go all out cross-dressing, binary smashing without any gender norms. They love to embrace any difference with a lot of pride, and they are unapologetic, unashamed of their behavior. Let us try to focus on trying to behave neutrally rather than making these kids neutral. Why do you have to force somebody to fit into a particular gender role? You know, it's heartbreaking to see what the community is facing today. You must have seen them at red lights, traffic signals. Now, they are being forced and pushed into these kind of ways and methods to earn money. We do not have proper guidelines in space for them to be turning into respectable jobs. Why don't you have these kind of opportunities for them? So let's try and work towards making a difference in the society. All that I'm saying today is change takes time to happen, but you need to, it'll all start here when you leave this room. Go out into the world and stop telling a child at birth what their gender is, what their sexual orientation is. Let the child grow up to identify themselves as to what gender or sex they fall into. All right, so these are some kind of slides that you see here. These are the kind of questions that you may want to go back home and look up, ask students, ask children about it. You know, try to make a difference in your own small ways because youth has immense power, as you can see it, and I'm glad to see this change. There is no right or wrong. You know, I always believe there's no right or wrong. There's only one driving force that should matter the most, and that is your faith in your own belief. You know, there will be certain stages in life where you would like to think about yourself, you would like to think about growing big, aspire big, and that's absolutely the way it should be. But do not forget that you are the youth of today. You have the power to break mindsets. You have the power to break stereotypes. And you have the power to make a difference in the lives of the people. So please reach out to your family, your friends, talk about it in your own circles, create support groups for the community. Try to, you know, embrace all the differences with a lot of respect and love. And that's how you will see change happen. Like they say, charity begins at home. It starts right here. And the one last thing that I would like to focus on is only a person who has the fear of losing will fail to stand up for the rights of others. When you do not have the fear of loss, you become fearless. So the next time you see an empty box, please ask yourself, what is inside it? Thank you.